Hello everyone and welcome to part 6 of my Muse adventure in Dekaron. If you haven't seen any other parts yet, make sure to start with the first one. I'll make sure a link to that is in the description. Let's get this going. After killing all those Acris in Arcadia, I ended up with a bunch of these gastroliths, and if you don't know, you can exchange them to Parkel, and then you can open them. And the most notable item that I got from them was these gems that give you 3% all attack and 3% defense that can go into your accessories. So this was the first thing I decided to do here. Since I was level 180, I also decided to mess around with my level 180 weapon. Now, I was hoping to get it 4 sockets, but I just did not have enough dill to do that. So I went ahead and I put 2 sockets on it, and I added 2 5% dark gems. I also decided to open up my level 180 level achievement package, which just had more potions, XP items, Arcadia, blessings, all that good stuff, and another level up token as well. Here I am throwing in those gems I was talking about earlier. Any little bit of extra damage I can get is going to be helpful in the long run. So this gives me 9% total all attack increase. In addition to the level 180 weapon, I also was able to equip my level 180 Heffron armor, which is very helpful. Lots of good stats, and one of the most noticeable things about it, though, is you do get a lot of HP as well. You can see I went from like 16, 17 HP all the way to 37k HP. So lots of progress at level 180. After doing some of my daily dungeons, I decided that I was going to give Infinite Battle 2 Fight a try. And with the runes that I had and the new gear and all that, I had no problem at all completing this dungeon. It is decent experience as well. I mean, I think I managed to get from 180 to 181, although I was already semi-close to 181, so I think it was maybe 20% or so. But, yeah, it's good to know that I can complete this dungeon. I don't know. I feel like there used to be more drops that came from this, but I don't know. I only did it once, so I guess I can't comment on that. But yeah, overall, IB2 fight went really well. At this point, you're going to notice a pretty big jump in my levels. I went from level 181 to 186. Now, how did this happen? I used all of the Arcadia protections that I had, both from the level up packages and from the daily rewards as well, and that did get me all the way to level 186. So I think I did that overnight one night, or whatever. It really wasn't that many hours, though. I think maybe in total it was like 4 or 5 hours, if that. Arcadia is just kind of broken with experience. So anyway, yep, got to level 186. I then wanted to try Dragon's Nest to see how I would fare there. I knew this would be an important dungeon. You know, if I do decide that I want to try to get my Meisters up, this is definitely a dungeon I'm going to be spending a lot of time in. So I went ahead and I ran it. The first time I ran it, I did not use the double spawn because I figured it would be a little bit too much for me to handle. But I did actually complete the single spawn pretty easily, and I did also manage to score a step 3 skill box from Olympia as well, which is great. So this gave me some confidence, and I did afterwards. I don't think I'm going to show a clip of it, but I did afterwards. I tried the double spawn as well, and I was able to complete the double spawn up until the final boss, and then that was just a little bit too much damage for me, and I was not able to take out the double final dragon, but that's okay. Overall, this went really well, and just showed me that with runes, this is something that's possible for me to do. Next, I went back to Elagos to get my revenge on the solo dungeon. With the runes and with the new weapon and the armor, this was easy and I had no trouble at all. And since I completed the last boss, I was able to get the YOLO title as well. So, all really good stuff. I then started to think about accessories, and I decided it was time to start farming my Squama. So I went ahead and I got the quest, and I ran through the dungeon to get my Shattered Mysterious Pendant and start getting some of the materials that I needed to craft the Squama. Now, I'm not going to show every little bit of this dungeon. It's been in the game a long time. I also have a complete guide on my channel on how to complete it and how to farm the Squama, but I'll just put a couple clips here of me running through it. Overall, it went pretty well. I did have a couple deaths that I wasn't expecting, but overall, not too bad. And I was able to complete this dungeon and get my Shattered Mysterious Pendant. So that's all great. This dungeon is always very nostalgic for me. You know, like farming your Squama was always like a very like staple item for me. So whenever I think of it, I think of this dungeon. I think about farming the slime mucuses and running through the cave and getting the magic crystals and having to do the Elenom event and getting the dream powder that you need in order to do the optional boss, and it's just a fun dungeon. This whole system of how to get this accessory is it's just done really well. There's only a few things in the game that are like this, whereas a lot of other games or items are just kind of behind a paywall. But this is one that you actually have to work for, and I find it very fun. Also, for some reason, I thought Sacred Claw would be a thing for me right now, but you can see here how that went. Yeah, we will be back here another time. Now, some of you are probably already saying, wait a minute, why didn't you do the optional boss? You still need to get the dragon scale from that dungeon as well. Well, you are correct. However, at the time, I did not have any dream powder in order to do the optional boss. You need the dream powder in order to fight the optional boss. So I had to go and do the Elenome event. So after some research, because the times that are listed in game do not line up with your local time, I was finally able to figure out when the event was. I believe the time is based on CET, although don't quote me on that. I really wish they had a clock on their website like some of the other publishers, but that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, I was able to get to the tail end of the event, and I was able to get some Dragonoid Signets, and then with the Dragonoid Signets from the craft menu, you can go ahead and you can make the Dream Powder in order to complete the dungeon. Again, if you need a guide on that, I've got it all on my channel. Not going to show it all in detail. Also, you will notice going forward that my display might look a little bit different. Hopefully it looks a little bit clearer, less blurry. I was looking at some of the first videos in the series, and I realized that I had just kind of been lazy and didn't have my settings right, and everything just looked, I would say, not very good or professional. So hopefully this should be looking better going forward. Since I had my Dream Powder from the Elenome event, I was able to go through the Door of Will at the end of the dungeon and fight Maneuver. Or the optional, sorry, not Maneuver, Rubinson. And first drop, I was able to get the Dragon Scale. The drop rate on it has gotten a lot better than it used to be, so I find that most of the time I either get it on my first or my second drop. So that's great. Things are moving along great in terms of me getting the Squama. Since I was working on the Squama, I decided to work on the Lacrima as well. So I headed to the Elenome Party Dungeon and decided to give that a try. Overall, this went very well. I think I died on my first attempt just because I wasn't being very safe with like the first stone room with the dragons, and I got blown up by them. My damage is definitely kind of low, so it took me a while to get through it. But yeah, no, overall, it went really well. Didn't have any problems. The stones, the stones in this room here, all four of them were pretty easy. Like I said, the hardest one was the dragon one, and other than that, just kind of flew right through. The first thing I noticed when I got into this dungeon was that the experience had been significantly increased. This dungeon gives a ton of experience now, so definitely a lot more than it used to. So it's actually not a bad dungeon for leveling, which is kind of cool. One thing I also noticed is that they now limited the dungeon to being able to do it 5 times a day, which is a little disappointing. You used to be able to do this dungeon as many times as you wanted. The drop rate of all the supplies still seems really good, so it only takes maybe 2 days to do it anyway. But still, I don't get the point of limiting the dungeon to 5 runs. I think that's strange. It's not even a super pass dungeon, I don't think. So they're not even making money off of it. So I don't really get the whole point of, we're reducing the amount of runs you can do. In addition to that, they nerfed a lot of the drops in the dungeon as well. The final boss used to always give skill books. He doesn't anymore. And you also used to get necklaces, which you could sell for dill. I know because I made a video about doing 100 runs of this, and that is gone as well. Now, I did also do the optional boss Rubinson to try to get the Dragon Tear, which is one of the components that you need for the Lacrima, and unfortunately, my first run here, I was not able to get it, but, I'll be back to try again. Again, I have guides on how to do the Lacrima, I have guides on how to complete this dungeon. I'm not going to go through all that now. By the way, here's me getting that teardrop. I did manage to get it on my second run. I was actually surprised I didn't get it on my first one, but, hey, beggars can't be choosers. And after a few more runs, here I am crafting Lacrima. Again, Lacrima doesn't take too long to get, but it's very good. 10% all attack, 300 all accuracy, 200 vit, critical rate, a lot of good stuff. It's just overall, it's a very good attack accessory early on in the game. Plus, it's a component of the Perpetus, so definitely worth your time. It literally just took me a few runs to get all the supplies that I needed. It's a very quick accessory to farm. So yeah, got that one knocked out. So the last thing I wanted to cover in this video was the event dungeon that's going on. I did decide to try this out. I did not realize how broken the experience is. I had somebody leave me a comment saying, "Hey, you should check out the event dungeon. It's a really good experience," and they are correct. This is super crazy good experience. So I went in and I end up throwing on a bunch of my experience scrolls and stuff like that. And by the end of it, I got from level 187 almost to level 191, just a couple percent shy of 190. Now, I wasn't able to complete the dungeon. The last boss is kind of hard. He attacks like a two-hand AK and he stuns you and does a ton of damage, so I couldn't beat him, but the rest of the dungeon was pretty easy, and I still got all the experience, so it didn't really matter. But yeah, so here we are. We're ending the episode or the part at level 190, almost level 191. This event dungeon comes in and out, so I don't feel too bad using it, just because more likely or not you'll see available at some point. If not, we'll talk about other good experience methods later in the series. But yeah, nope, that's it. That's all I got for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions or suggestions, as always, you can leave it in the comments. And until next time, take care.